Hey, there we are. Everybody hear me okay? I've got a mic that doesn't seem to be acting weird this week. We've got mic seems to be behaving itself normally. I've got computers that are actually working this week, unlike last week when they just went chaotically weird. And I think things are looking good so far. So let's get to it. I see a couple of friends. There's LA Mood from my local comic shop, LA Mood here, and there's Madness Comics. There's BD Cosmos. We're good today on the mic count, so that's good news. Let me share a screen. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about POS systems. We'll talk about Shopify's built-in one. Talk a little bit about BinderPOS. I can't speak too much on BinderPOS because honestly, I've never used it other than kind of a brief time checking it out with our friends at LA Mood. I shouldn't have actually spoke directly to the microphone because it decided to start dropping. So we're going to look at Shopify's built-in point of sale system. We will also look at one I've been using lately called Connect. The company's called Connect Retail. I can't remember the name of the POS, but I'll take a look at that. I've also brought out my handy dandy scanner, which will do a couple fun things with that. I haven't completely configured this scanner. So right now it's only reading up to the last 5 digits. I know there's a way to get in here and like kind of reprogram it for the last 5 digits, and I'll have to figure out how to do that. But right now, let me just show you. This is a big change we're working on right now. Customer lists were getting kind of overwhelming. When you have a store with a lot of customers, either on the Shopify end or on the customer end, it's like on the Manage Comics customer end, this list was becoming just silly. So we refactored this entire list. We've made it a lot faster because it's now doing kind of an AJAX call to the non-subscribers things. And it starts out just by showing you people who have active comics subscriptions here. I can go ahead and search by a person. So let's see if that Garside fellow is in here somewhere. One of the things I don't love about the Polaris interface is there's no like search enter, but oh well. So when I find Brian Garside, I can actually look at the things he's subscribed to. I can look at pre-orders he has for old books. I can also look at inactive subscriptions he may have. So these are things that might just simply be out of like not offered right now. I think Wonder Woman Historia is done, if I'm right. Or maybe this was because it was I don't know what the reason for this one is actually. Oh, he may have canceled it. That's probably it. He's canceled it at some point. We're doing a little bit of tweaking with the delete actions here. And this is just kind of ongoing. And then, we just see some information like 40% discount. So this is where I can add a new product for him. I'll add. Let's see if I can add Detective Comics to him. Oh, this is I need to update my my database on my QA world. So I can add Detective Comics to his list, and now he's got it. So that's that. When I want to change something about him, because this ties to the actual customer account. So if I wanted to change his discount, maybe I want to change him. Just because he co-owns the store doesn't mean he gets to have a 40% discount. So we'll drop him down to a 10% discount. And when I save that, then that gets reflected back. There's like a little connection that goes through the Shopify store. So that is there. Is that the Manage Comics one or the POS? This is on Manage Comics, Madness. CGC Emporium. Hey guys, how are you doing? So the other big change we're making this week is we're going to add the ability to do, this is just a mock-up of what this looks like. I asked the guys if we could push it to QA right now, and they were like, no, we'd rather not. So this is a mock-up of what the all subscriptions page will look like. And what's cool about this is that, let's say that you have 10 customers that you need to add to Amazing Spider-Man. You can just click on the Amazing Spider-Man title. So you'll search, or if you want to do Amazing Spider-Man #1, you'll search for a product that already exists, or click on the title and go to the page, which will show you who's currently subscribed to that. And you can add more subscriptions. What's coming up will be this clone subscriptions feature. So we're going to launch this as is without the clone subscriptions feature. After this, you'll be able to clone all of the existing Amazing Spider-Man #88 people to Amazing Spider-Man #1. So that would that'll just simplify things like when a title ends and a new one begins. So yeah, that's coming up this week too. We're going to launch these two features at the same time, because customer lists essentially replaces the old all customers page, and then there's going to be a subscriptions page where you can get to the individual subscriptions. Yeah, and another nice thing about the clone subscriptions, the reason I've really pushed for this one to go through is, let's say that you have a one shot for the Dark Crisis thing that's coming up. I'm sure there's going to be a half dozen one shots that you'll want to clone subscriptions from, one of the mini series to another, or maybe even from the main series to some tie-ins and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is coming up this week as well. So I'm expecting to see kind of the final version of it tomorrow. We'll do a bunch of testing. We'll probably launch it over the weekend. And come Monday, that'll be up and running, the new stuff. And so I'll send out an email about this stuff, of course, this weekend. So that is what we're working on. After this, let me stop sharing my screen for a second. After this, we're moving on to kind of an advanced, we've got a 2-phase advanced initial orders project that we're working on. Let me find that. So we're calling the first phase like phase 0. I think I can share that right there. Yes. Yes. So phase 0 will be, oh, that's too big, will be something like this, where you can have shelf copies. So you'll be able to track your shelf copies of everything. And this will also show you everything. We've got a bunch of filters here. So there's filtering by publisher, filtering by product type, filtering by items with orders, items with subscriptions, item with just shelf copies. And then also the ability to search down to things. And there's oh no, that's the items with orders. I think as I get a better handle on the issue numbering, I'd also like to add the ability for you to just search by first issues. There's some kind of hinkiness in that, and you'll see it even in Diamond's own website, like the Previews World. If you click for first issues right now on Previews World, you also end up seeing like resolicits and stuff as well. So I want to make sure we remove all those from the show any new first issues. So yeah, this will be coming like in the next week after this week. So sometime next week we'll do this. And then the second phase of this is a little bit of work with, I don't have any information about that. But the second phase of this will be getting all previous orders into the system as well, so that we can start to give you some intelligence on previous orders. Madness is saying PRH FOC does not give subscriber numbers. Yeah, I don't know about that. I got to look into that, because I get subscriber numbers on mine. So, and I've heard this from a few different people. I'm not sure where the problem is. So we'll look into your specific case, Jim. Yeah, I've heard that a few times. So it's not the first. All right, let us jump into, and I'm just going to go kind of fairly loosey-goosey today. I don't really have a formalized agenda. just because I'm going to play around a little bit today. So I'm going to take you to my other store. This is a store that I literally set up last night. So it's our new, it's a forward-facing store. I think I'm actually going to turn this into a store that people can browse. I've just got to figure out how to put it into catalog mode so nobody can buy anything because there's nothing for sale. But I really want to be able to demo kind of the power of subscriptions publicly. So this will tie right into it. So this is just the basic Dawn theme, and I've tweaked it a little bit so that it has Managed Comics integration. These are bad links, and this is using my public, like the production database and everything. So we get good data on this thing, and it works on the front ends here. Jumping in to some of the point of sale systems that we've been kind of playing around with lately. So we've got the Shopify POS. When you use Shopify Pro, you get access to Stocky, which gives you a ton of access in terms of kind of good stock management and inventory management. And you can create, low stock vendors and low stock order products. And like, if you always want to have 3 copies of Watchmen in stock, you can flag that as something that you want to keep an eye on. I really should have clicked on Stocky after I installed Shopify Pro POS, but oh well. But in the meantime, I've also built a Shopify point of sale integration. And if I cast this over, I had to do some really crazy stuff in order to make this show up on my TV or on my video here. Just 1 second here. Just have to change the view. There we go. And now I'll just share that screen instead. Window. There we go. So you'll be seeing this is my iPad now that I'm casting over to my Apple TV so that I can display it on this screen. This is so ridiculous. So one of the things you'll see is that we've got a Manage Comics tab here. And this is just a point of sale tab. This one is really, really rudimentary in terms of what we can do with it. It's really mostly focused on creating customer orders. So if I go to, I clicked the wrong button. If I click on customer orders and I go to Bruce Wayne's thing here, I can actually, one of the things we added was the pull dates so that you can, let's say that a couple of these things were not streeted for today, and Bruce Wayne came in, on a Monday, and you could only pull his DC stuff. Let's say you've already pulled his Diamond things, but you can only sell him his DC stuff on a Tuesday. Well, you can invoice that group of things, and it'll show up on your invoices. Now, here's where the Shopify point of sale is a little terrible. There's no ability for you to open up a draft order. So you actually have to install a plugin called Draft and Custom Orders. And I'm not sure if this is the best system. So we're actually in the process of scoping out our own system that we'll build for this. So we'll keep you in the Manage Comics point of sale point until we send you over to an order in Shopify. So error fetching draft order, you silly thing. Of course, this worked all day when I was doing tests, right? There it is. So what I don't love about this is, as you can see, these are all now custom orders. And I've noticed that they've added a little note to the top that says, at the moment, only draft orders created by this app can be editable. Existing draft orders can still be added to the POS cart and will be editable in the near future. So yeah, this isn't great. For one thing, I lost all my discounting when I brought this over into the custom draft items. It's also, these are custom items now. They're not actually products in like Shopify. So I'm going to show you something that I discovered, which seems to work better. If I go into orders and I go to online orders, there's actually a way to create an order as a as pending payment, and then you're actually maintaining all your everything. It maintains the connection to your stock. It maintains like everything. It becomes an actual item. The only problem is you have to make sure that when you check everything in at the Manage Comics point, it's finalized, because you can't remove anything from this order. So I can take payment from him here. But yeah, I can't do anything else with it. So I could collect the payment on them, and I can do it cash or credit card if I had a credit card set up on here. So this will work, and it will actually track things properly. I'll show you in the front end kind of how we do these. Jim asks, do/will these apps work with BinderPOS? So the apps themselves, the Shopify point of sale app doesn't work with BinderPOS because they have their own point of sale thing. From what I understand, you can still take a draft order and you can convert it to a regular order in BinderPOS. That's what they've told me. Again, I don't have a test account to test this out. But I was speaking to a couple of people at BinderPOS who've said this is possible. Julian, you can confirm or deny whether or not creating a draft order is possible, or converting a draft order to an order at the cash register is possible. In the meantime, let me show you how I figured out to do this. I think this is actually kind of neat. Got to figure out which screen I'm going to be sharing here. That's right. Yeah. So CGC Emporium said, do you have to create the draft order in Shopify admin, set it to pay later, and then load it in the POS? Yes. So that's what I found works here. Shopify is a POS, not a fan of it all. Switched immediately to Binder. Yeah, and that's why I'm going to talk about, so some people absolutely positively love the Shopify point of sale because it's really, really intuitive. It's super easy to use. It's really stripped down. Some people hate it because it's really stripped down and it's too kind of limiting. Julian says, I've never been able to pull a draft order in Shopify into drafts into BinderPOS. So that's something that we should definitely connect with BinderPOS on, because they've told me this is possible. I just haven't seen it in action. So, I mean, the information I'm getting from them is it's possible to create a draft order and then pull it up in BinderPOS. So maybe it's this solution right here, which I'll show you. So in Shopify, I can take a draft order, and I will take this Bruce Wayne order. And I just want to make sure that, okay, so bringing it into the drafts and POS didn't change anything. As we can see, I've got my discounted amount. So that means that all the tax information will still be here. Also, it's tied in to the actual product, meaning I can drop it out of here before I turn it into an actual invoice. And what I can do is I can say payment due later, due on receipt, create order. And as soon as I do this, now this order is available in the Shopify POS. The only thing that kind of sucks is that I have to jump to a desktop to make this happen, or have another tab open where I'm in the Shopify website and then go back to the POS, which is a little bit ugly. So like I said, we are going to build our own system that will do this whole thing for you as part of the kind of integration. I was hoping that we could just draft off of something somebody else had done, but it didn't work. So that's good news. We now have a way of getting orders into Shopify's point of sale through the Shopify interface without having to kind of use a third-party plugin to do it. But speaking of third-party plugins, I have been playing with ConnectPOS. What I like about ConnectPOS is it's web-based, so it works on any browser. So I can use just a normal little computer. I've got my scanner working on it, so I'll just grab a conveniently placed trade paperback here. And if I click on scan barcodes and scan my item, it's going to find the item, and then I just scroll down here and add it to my cart. Do the same thing with a Detective Comics. And I add that to my cart, and I'll grab a Black Manta. Now I know this will get better once I figure out how to add the because there's 6 digits missing here. So they are check digit and then 00111. So this is the extended comic information. So it's the first issue, first printing, first variant. If I click on that, I can add that to my cart. I can do discounts at the individual product level. So if I want to do a 10% discount on each one of these things, I can do it there, or I can do it at the overall cart level as well. So my goal is to get. So I've got a call with these guys later this week, and my goal is to be able to get my draft orders in here in some way. Right now, there's a bunch of other things I can see, like an orders list, but there's no way to see draft orders and have those connected to the things in my product. The other nice thing about this is that it is also offline. So if something happened and you lost connection, it syncs up with your product list like once a shift, and you can actually force it to sync up with your product list more often than that. So yeah, it apparently works in an offline manner as well. You can do multi-source inventory. So they have their own version of Stocky that I've been playing around just a little bit with. So I just did a thing where I created some suppliers, and I'm starting to tag things as suppliers. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting, and it's about comparable to the Shopify POS in terms of pricing. Julian says, is there a way to scan and direct add to cart? So like just click on the item and add it to cart? I'm not sure. So I've only just started playing with it, so I don't know exactly what's possible with it. I would imagine so. I mean, you can just do quick searches for items. So I don't know what the full power of this thing is yet. Yeah, and as you can see, I haven't even set up like custom sales and stuff like that right now. But it's definitely another option. And then, of course, the third option being our good friends over at BinderPOS, who have a nice little point of sale system that works really, really well if you're selling CGC card singles. There are some caveats with BinderPOS. We need to get in touch with them about some of the cart restrictions that are happening. So we've just noticed that some stores, because of the way BinderPOS updates products quite often, Some stores are having an issue where when they are importing their new catalog, they're having an issue with getting the products into their store. So that's a little bit of a problem. Yeah, Julian says that he's had 3 pushes with the ConnectPOS people due to COVID. Yeah, I gotta say it's not the only time I've heard that lately. Yeah, so this is another option. Definitely is the folks over at BinderPOS, and their system's pretty cool. I think if you're selling a lot of CGC singles, they're super important. That's kind of a basic overview of some of the options out there in terms of point of sale systems. Anybody have any questions? I can answer, whatever I can answer. And yeah, we'll let's hear what you'd like to know. Next week on the Thoughtstream, I'm going to do a kind of a deep dive into a bunch of the things that we've changed recently, as well as a look at some of the stuff we're working on in the future. So we're going to look really closely at not only the, I guess this is one of the items that we should talk about is last week we added our So last week we did 2 big changes. They were oh my gosh, I only remember one of them. On reporting, we have a held back products field, which of course my store doesn't have any. Oh, I can create some right now. So let's say that I've got some customer orders and Barbara Gordon comes in and she says, I don't want this Batman and I don't want this Detective Comics. So I say, okay, fine, Barbara, we'll delete those and remove them. So the question is, where the heck do those go? Well, they go to a area called held back products. So over here in held back products now, I have 1 copy of Detective 1047. I just saw that my Batman failed to move over. So I can either remove these from the held back products area. I can just say, nope, I don't want that in here at all. Or I can move it over to Shopify. So let's say that for some reason I sold it and my Shopify was -1. If I move this to Shopify now, Shopify will be positive. But if I've already I remember last night I manually updated the stock, then I would remove it completely and it'll disappear. But if I want to move it over to Shopify, now it comes out of this listing and it goes into my Shopify products and disappears. So that was one of the big things we worked on. It wasn't a big thing. It was a little quality of life thing that we kind of fixed up. And the other one, what was the other one? If only I had a weekly change log that I post to. Oh, there it is. Sorting pre-orders by title. Small little quality of life thing. But as I was playing around with pre-orders a couple of weeks ago, I was like, man, I wish I could sort them by title. So we just made it happen. So we can sort pre-orders by title and I can find how many people are getting Amazing Spider-Man #1 facsimile edition. Super easy to sort things now and just to do a screen search. We will be adding some search features and stuff like that as we go through all these screens and look at what's silly. We kind of slowly move and modify things. Question about, dare I ask, how UK integration is going? Well, the good news is I have 4 tickets about UK integration instead of 6. The long story short is we are working on, so we've managed to get fairly consistent diamond data for the DC stuff. The next thing we'll be creating a UK store settings price matrix and UK store settings for Diamond, Lunar, and Penguin Random House, and then enabling currency conversions with pound versus dollar sign. So we've got 3 fairly major projects to do still. Once I get done the initial order stuff, we'll jump into this real quick and then get back into the next phase of initial order. So I think reasonably we're probably like 2 or 3 weeks away from getting the UK stuff to a point where we can start testing and making sure it works really well. Jim says we're still trying to populate our customers' orders with their received subscriptions rather than having to scan each one. Yeah, that's the idea of the customer orders page here. This should be creating orders for you. So when you click this create invoice, this should actually create a draft order in orders, drafts. So Bruce Wayne's draft order gets created over here. Oh, that's funny. These are guest ones created by ConnectPOS. That's funny. Julian says, so if you have a UK price matrix, you can quickly add a Canadian price matrix, right? Yeah, that's the idea, is to be able to do multiple price matrices. Once we get this technology done, then we'll be able to add a ton of different stuff. So the first part of this is the part that's taking the longest. We are refactoring our entire database to so we're refactoring our entire database to basically divorce it from any publisher. When we first built the database, we thought we'd use all of Diamond's data and then just kind of append different distributors' information. But as we've started adding more and more distributors, we just realized that that's a pain. And also it causes problems in the future when we want to create child products and have those child products available to different distributors. So that's in the works right now. It's actually probably the biggest, kind of longest and yet invisible project we're working on, because doing this it creates an underpinning for everything else that we're doing. So by having the products divorced from any kind of distributor reality, so no more diamond codes associated with the product, there'll be a geek fetch code and the UPC code, and that's it. There won't be the unique ways that Diamond or PRH tag products, for example. So we're gonna actually use the book scan categorization for all comics, and then we'll also tie in our own Manage Comics categorization that we built like a year ago, which was kind of logical. But we've got certain things, like we've started expanding out manga so that it's got more details. But I want to eventually map all of those things over to BISAC so that we get both. Yeah, Julian, that's a problem. So we'll look at that together. I don't know why that is. We currently get several titles with other publishers. AWA is the major publisher I'm seeing this on. So you get several titles that are labeled other publisher. So Jim, send a ticket in. Specific example, let me know what it is. It's probably just that the way that it's configured has changed. Everybody is known to change the names of things, and we don't always catch it. So send me a ticket. We'll get it done. That's a simple thing. Aubrey says the tags with regards to name have errant single quotation marks appearing. Is that a known issue? No, sir. No, sir, it's not. So again, ticket, because if I don't see it, I don't know about it. You guys are seeing things. Yeah, you're importing, like I maybe import 20 products a week just to test and play around with. And I'm not looking at stuff really, really seriously. So if you guys see something wrong, send a ticket in. The worst thing I'll do is send you back a thing saying that's not something we can fix. But 9 times out of 10, it's just like either something weird has happened in the data, which we can fix quickly, or there's something else going on. So let us know when you see a problem. I get 25, 30 tickets a day. I respond to almost every one of them, although lately it's gotten down to like 5. Sometimes it takes me a couple days to get back to anybody on a ticket. Sometimes tickets get lost in my kind of open field, but I go through them all on Sundays and kind of close up anything that I didn't get through on the week. So yeah, give me a ticket. If I don't see a ticket about it, I don't know it's an issue 9 times out of 10. Currently spending half an hour or so every Wednesday. Hey, it's only half an hour. Just imagine how much time you'd be spending if you were importing all the products into Shopify every day. Julian, Shopify doesn't hate you. Ron asks, sorry, I jumped in late. I was wondering if you addressed the issue with sometimes titles that are subscribed to not populating on the pull for that week. Titles not that are. So Ron, this is a specific issue. Can you give me a little bit more information? So you're saying that like somebody is subscribed to Amazing Spider-Man and they don't get it, or nobody who's subscribed to Amazing Spider-Man gets it? Is it just a one person, or is it all the people? Just waiting for Ron to type in an answer, and I don't know what the exact one-off. So one single person. Yeah. So one single person not getting Amazing Spider-Man pulled. You would have to give us a specific example. So the person, and we can look it up in the database. 9 times out of 10, it's because their ad date is late. It's after the cutoff. Another reason might be like a weird data issue, but that shouldn't happen. We have at least one title a week that doesn't get pulled. Never heard about it. It doesn't exist until I hear about it. So tell me the title, tell me what happened, and I will look into it. But unless we know that it's happening, I can't fix problems I don't know are happening. Sometimes it's something stupid like the series code on the second issue of something last week was completely wrong. And Superman, son of Kal-El, has had a wrong series code on it for like 2 months, and nobody's ever told me that. So we'll figure that out. So I fixed it. There was 2 problems: Superman, son of Kal-El, and Future State Gotham City. Both had bad series codes. So at some point, it looks like Lunar added a 0 or took away a 0. So that sucks. Yeah, Spider-Man 88.BEY. So this is a Marvel issue. Marvel considers the .BEY or .whatever to be one-offs that aren't associated with the series. They do not share the same series code. I don't think that's right, but it's the way that they've identified it. And that means that you guys are ordering things based on them being one-offs and not based on them being part of the series, because we don't track them that way. So the way we're going to solve this in the future at some point is we're going to create groups of titles, which means that like Dark Crisis would have a group. So if somebody wanted to collect all of the Dark Crisis crossovers, it would be smart enough to kind of tie everything together. We don't have that yet. 1 out of 10 is because Manage Comics decides there's a shortage when it doesn't have one. When the title doesn't have one, Manage Comics just randomly decides that you're short issues, because that shouldn't happen. Again, give me a specific example. Like send me this is the poll we did this week, and this is where if you can tell me which day you did that poll on, it makes it easier for us to find it in the database. But that definitely should not happen. Man, I feel like I'm getting beaten up today, guys. This was such a good week, and now I'm just getting abused here. Gosh. So yeah, I think moral of the story, if you have a problem, no matter how small it is, please send me a ticket and I will look at it. I can talk with my guys. I talk with Taras like every day. Julian says that he sent those in the past. So Julian, the thing that's not 2 pulls, 2 copies received. Manage Comics says 8 pulls. Okay. I'll look through my tickets and I will send you a copy of every ticket I have with you. If I can find those, then we'll figure it out. If I can't, then let's find another specific example where it's happened and I will attempt to resolve it. Yeah. Okay. This has been a blast. Sure, Julian, send it to me now. Send me the specific example. If you know which day you pulled it, we can look in the database and see what's going on in the database. Maybe the database is being funny and adding or subtracting a number. If it's a title from the past that you got reorders in, sometimes we don't know that it's a reorder. So you like if it's listed differently in some weird way, it might not recognize it as a reorder. So when you're checking in, just make sure you're unchecking things that you don't want to be pulled. That's on like the second or third screen. When you do the pull check, it actually has like a checkbox where you can uncheck things. So it may be that you need to uncheck that title that week because it's a reorder, and for whatever reason, the system doesn't see it as the second time we've pulled that. Well, on those notes, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I hope that some of that, any way of adding a way to turn off taxes before we import. What does that mean exactly, Ron? Turning off taxes. So specifically turning off the taxes on a specific type of product, or I can actually show you real quick in Manage Comics how we do that. Share screen. Let me share a different screen. I want to share my example shop screen. Okay, so you don't charge taxes on new comics. Well, yeah, this is actually a fairly easy thing for us to solve together, and I might feel better about my life. This one's fun. So the way that Shopify does taxes is a little screwy. So what you have to do is in settings, in Manage Comics settings. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Ron. You go to product types, and in your product types, you are going to, so actually let me back up a sec, and we will go to collections. And I have a collection called books, and this is a manual collection. It has to be a manual collection. It cannot be a automatic collection. So when I create this collection, I'll just show you how we do it. We create a collection. We're going to call it no tax. And we are going to say it is a manual collection. And there we go. So now you have to, in Manage Comics, you have to go to settings and you go to product types and you have to say comics. Oh, I must not have saved it properly, but I would say comics are books, which is my no tax on this thing. And then you save it, and now it will be added to that manual collection. And then there's a final step we have to do. Just let me check out what that is. So this is a really stupid thing that I think Shopify needs to solve, because it's a case that happens everywhere. And so the way that it used to be is you could create an automated collection that would actually be tagged with a specific thing, and then taxes wouldn't get taken off it. Sorry, I've written this down somewhere that add to collections. Oh, no, that's it. That's it. Yeah. So our system actually figures it out. Okay, I was right. So once it's been added to the books category, then it will no longer have taxes applied to it when they check out. And like I said, it has to be a manual category in order for it to work. So yeah, that's all you have to do. I thought there was a third step, but there's not. It's if you're manually adding things, you have to manually go through and add the taxes. So Julian says his collection is automatic. So Julian, I think that's an old thing, and I think it still is grandfathered in, but going forward, you can't do that. I mean, if you can figure out a way that I can do that, that'd be wonderful. But I know that when I first set up a Shopify store, I was able to do that. But the Shopify store that I set up in the summer for all new comics, there was no way to do automatic GST calculation. But if you can figure that out, I mean, it's amazing, because honestly, it's the way it should work. You should just be able to set an automated category based on, the product type of graphic novel, and then it'll just automatically do that. But that's not the case anymore. So from what I've seen anyway, if anyone knows another way. See, I know this used to be the way that it worked, because BinderPOS has a thing called books 5% that we add to all books, so that Canadian stores cannot charge tax on them. Why not just use the charge tax button on each product? I think that would actually be more work. And the problem is charge tax, which I think is like here somewhere. Yeah. So the problem that I see is that everywhere is a little bit different in terms of taxes. So in Canada here, even on things that are tax exempt, we still have to charge 5% GST, which is our federal sales tax. We just don't charge the provincial portion of that. And if I can put on my super nerdy accounting hat for a second, it's not even that we don't charge tax, it's that we give an instant rebate at the cash register for the exact amount of the provincial version, the provincial amount of the harmonized sales tax, which is the most ridiculous accounting wording on the planet. But yeah, that could be an option that we could look in as another way of completely not charging tax on products. Yeah. And like in the United States, they can have 2 or 3 tax rates. You can have a state tax and a municipal tax, and you can have a different municipal tax across the street. We did calculations once because we were figuring something out, and there's something like 2,500 different tax rates in the United States. In Canada, there are 9. It's so easy in comparison. And I thought ours were complicated back in the day. All right. I think that's going to do us for the week. Like I said, next week, we're going to go through all the things that we've worked on recently, because there's been some really, really major changes. I'm also going to do a fun overview video. We're going to do like a 3-minute video this week for we're going to be appearing at Comics Pro on February 26th, which I think is like 2 weeks from this Saturday. So we'll be at Comics Pro along with a couple other vendors that sell POS systems. So we're going to have like kind of a fun little video at the beginning of it. And we're also going to have a 15-minute presentation. I'll probably try those out on you guys next week if you're up for it. In the meantime, anybody who's listening to this, I have a huge favor that I would love to do. If you are a Manage Comics user right now, I would love you to take your mobile device, your phone, whatever it is, and just record your voice saying, "This is Manage Comics, and we are Manage Comics." And if you say, okay, so it'd be like, "This is Manage Comics," and what I'll do is I'll show your store with your words over top of it saying, "This is Manage Comics," and then if you say, "We are Manage Comics," that's going to have like the big Manage Comics thing at the end, and I'm going to amalgamate everybody's voices, so it'll be like a crowd of people saying, "We are Manage Comics." I just think it'll be fun. I had this idea last night. I was going to use my wife and my son and my daughter and myself, but it turns out my son and I sound exactly alike, and my wife and daughter sound exactly alike. So it was basically two people. So to recap, take your mobile device and use the voice memo notes to record, "This is Manage Comics. We are Manage Comics." Send me an email to brian@managecomics.com with the name of your store, which I'll probably know if I see your name, but just in case I forget, just say your name of your store. I'll put a picture of your store over top of the "This is Manage Comics" part, and then I will put I'll put your voice in my amalgamation thing. And yeah, I think it'd be fun if I just have like, a minute at the beginning of just "This is Manage Comics, this is Manage Comics, blah, blah, blah." Because what's cool to me is that Manage Comics has the ability to show your brand. And what's really neat is like, every one of the stores that I go to looks completely different, even though a lot of the kind of the chewy middle of Manage Comics looks the same. Julian says, "Do you mind if I record?" Yeah, that'd be cool. Like I'd love "This is Manage Comics" to be just one voice, because I'm going to have it as one voice for everyone. But if you want to do the "We are Manage Comics" part with all your folks, that'd be super cool. Yeah, I think that'd be really neat. Yeah, so my favorite part about Manage Comics is that every store looks a little bit different, but there's kind of shared parts that we all have that look the exact same. And it just makes the customer interaction, they're going to be involved in your brand. And then the parts that are kind of the Managed Comics stuff are things that we've put a lot of thought into the UI around, how to make the subscription part work. And even still, sometimes it confuses the heck out of me. So yeah, if we can do that, I think that'd be super cool. I would love to present that at Comics Pro. Just a fun little "We are Managed Comics" thing. So anyway, until next week, have a great week. Send those tickets in. I'm going to have the best time of my life. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Oh no, I'm doing that weird thing where I'm like staring and clicking things.